month ago, and I'm like, I fucking spent 2 weeks researching Kev's podcast. Spent about two or three nights watching your fights and things like that. 2 weeks researching. I got into fucking down to percentages and everything with Kev's. It was just like, it got too much. Like, we got far too much.
That's good though, eh? I like being passionate about stuff like that. It's really stuff we like as well. That's really good to see. I like that. That's what I'm like with boxing. I'm like daft about it. Like I'm sat at like 3 o'clock in the morning some nights. I can't sleep. I was boxing on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's... I remember being in school and like some guy was like, I got up at 3 a.m. to solve a math problem, and I never got it. Like,
but now you look back,
I kind of look at it and I'm like, you can apply that to someone in your life, and you're like, fuck, like. That's...
Do you just watch everything that you can? Like
everything.
Yeah.
I've not so much amateurs anymore, but like even when I was an amateur, like if I fought for Scotland and everything, like I genuinely wanted to go at least to Commonwealth Games. I was on the development squad, like when they first started running. It was maybe like a 4-year cycle. So I'd do 6 months, and then after the 6 months, if I was good enough, I'd get onto elites. And then if once you're in elites, that's you're like in your 4-year cycle to go to the Commonwealth Games. But then obviously COVID happened, massive breakdown, and then my weight category got cut from the Commonwealth Games, so and amateur boxing. So I was just like, gotta do something.
There's a good interview you on YouTube. I think the guy's name is Gary Melville. Do you know what you're on about?
Yeah.
You mentioned
that was your debut, yeah.
Yeah, you went to the military for a bit.
I was and then
there was like you were on Christmas leave, and you were like, actually, no, I want to get back to boxing. So how was the plan always to go into the military and box for them?
So the reason when I was on that development squad, I used to travel every Sunday I'd leave Elgin at like 4:45 in the morning, travel down to Perth, get in a car with one of the other boxers. He'd drive me from Perth to Glasgow. We'd train, and we'd do like an hour and 45 minutes of sparring in the morning, have a break, then go back at it and do another session, and then a fight up the road, and I go to work on Monday morning. And I did that relentlessly for like a year and a half. I with no help from nobody. Part of my sponsors, I had little sponsors at the time. I had like the Brayme and Holtman and Alex Cummison. They were helping me out. And then but it was making a hole in my pocket the whole time. And I couldn't afford to, and I couldn't see a way that my career was going to better if it was just constantly in a car. So I was like, and the Royal Marines and the Army are the only boys that give out like full-time boxing programs. So if I got through training, they'd have looked at me and then been like, yeah, we'll put you on the boxing program, and I would have just trained full-time. And then there's George Grotty, boxes for GB, he's a Royal Marine, and he doesn't do anything. He's on the GB squad. Do you know what I mean? He's taking in 2 salaries, one from GB and one from Royal Marines, just to box. And that was eventually my plan. I just wanted to tour the world fighting because I just love it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
because you're still fighting at a local level just now. But is that like the plan to like go around as far as possible? Because I seen in that interview you mentioned you want a British title, but then I seen another interview where it was like, nah, I'm going for a world title now.
Yeah,
do you know
so
what I mean?
I'd say from when I came home on Christmas leave, and then we got speaking to Sam, my manager. We were speaking. I think it was a bit grey because obviously Ratch is never Smarty's coach. He's just an amateur coach, so everything's new to him. Everything's new to us. So I was a bit grey on what I could achieve and where I would go. But I always knew it was good. But as soon as I've had these first 5-4 fights, I've kind of looked back at my career. I'm like, do you know what? I've got a good run at this. Like I know I've got momentum. I know I could go places now. So like now, I'm not going to limit myself to saying I'm going to get a British title. Like I know one day I'll fight for a world title. Like that is the main goal.
Yeah, and you got to aim as high as possible, right?
Exactly, because you shoot for the stars, you'll just
land below.
I
remember, I don't know if you remember this interview. Do you remember like Jose Mourinho, God rest him as an elite football manager, but he was like saying to get like top 4 you have to think about winning the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a good base to start off on. But so we've kind of already started for 5 minutes. Obviously you've got a massive fight coming up in like 3 weeks time. We had Smarty on probably about 6 months ago. Like,
yep.
Wild at times.
It was like weird because we had Smarty on round about. It was just before the fight got cancelled, and it was round about 3 weeks before his fight. So we're kind of same position with yourself. We know your fight's not going to get cancelled, but yeah. So like, whereabouts are you in your kind of prep with things? How are you feeing?
Good. So this is obviously my first 10-round fight, and the rounds have just been up and up and up and up. Like when I'm in the club, I'm the one that's on the floor at the end because I'm just caked. You know what I mean? Like training is probably as hard as it's ever been, but it's paying its dividends because I'm fit as I've ever been. I'm in the best shape I've ever been as well. And sparring's been better than ever. It was 2 weeks ago, I was down sparring in Liverpool, St Helens. Sparring Jack McGann. I think he's ranked number 11 in Britain my weight. And that was really good sparring. Really good to just be down there and get somebody different. Because like up here, getting me sparring's horrendous. Like I can go spar lads that I've sparred before. We've tried to go down to Glasgow and get even weights above, 2 weights above. I've been like, you want to sparring, and then we've arranged it and they've cancelled, and it's just ends up being a palaver. So like right now, my main spar partners are like young Lucas, who's like an 80 kilo like light heavyweight, and Aaron, who's like a heavy super middleweight, and I'm like probably like 10 kilo lighter than both of them. And I could bet if I was like spar boys, but my weight, the level's not going to be there. So I'm having to spar boys heavier just to get the level of the sparring.
I suppose it kind of follows like the trajectory of your journey in boxing, because you always say that you started boxing at 10 years old and you were like sparring with like 16-year-olds, training with 16.
I'm always in with the bigger lads. It's just false suit.
So how are you feeling 3 weeks out going in? Is there like an added edge to this one because it's local? Everyone, I know you take a good support everywhere you go, but this one's completely different. Like, it's like everyone and their grandmother's hairdresser can go to this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be different. I'm excited. Just really excited. I don't really get nervous anymore. Like the only time I really get nervous is I've put the gloves on, I'm standing in the doorway, I'm ready to go, and I kind of go, oh, I'm waiting in the ring now. But the build up, the weigh-in, I'm all giggly on fight day. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm excited to go.
Almost high.
Yeah, a little bit. I am.
I'm
high on the actually feeling. Do you know what I mean? But no, I'm prepared. I'm ready to go.
It just kind of shows it's almost a natural thing then, if you know that's what makes you happy, it's what makes you excited, and you're probably on your best form on fight day. It can't be a bad thing, you know.
Yeah, 100%. But then, Raj does have to be like, right, calm down. I'm in like the changing rooms like 3 hours before shadowbox, and he's like, just sit down. Like, I can't control myself.
Kind of pent up energy that though, right? Because you're building up to one moment for 36 minutes. I think 12 rounds. I know 10. It's 10 this time, but like you're building up for like how long is a camp? Like 10, 12 weeks? Is it 8?
Well, this one's gonna be like 9 because like this is my sixth fight. Well, sixth fight in 13 months. Like that's a lot, and we weren't meant to have this one. Like I wasn't meant to fight. The show got put on, and I was like to Sam, I was like, because obviously it's Dave McAllister's show at Northern Sport, the smartest motor. I was like, I kind of wanted to just take the back pedal because like I've had a good 5 fights. It should have been 6 because I had one in the ballroom that got cancelled, but so it should have been 6. And then I was like, I just wanted to go in the back end of the year, go away down England, get some really good sparring, top pros, and then see where I was at, and then recalculate what we're gonna do. And then he was like, nah, I kind of want you to fight on it, because he's like, if you get the opportunity to fight in your hometown, he's like, I want you to take it. And then he was like, Corey McCulloch for the Scottish title. I just replied to 100%. I was like, you could have told me any name for a title, and I would have just said yes. Do you know what I mean? I backed myself that much.
Because obviously Smarty's fighting as well in I think you're the co-main event, he's the main event in the Ironman tournament. Is he fighting for a Scottish title as well?
So Smarty's fight's been put forward for the Scottish title, but I don't know whether it's been approved or not yet. Because
I did see on the poster, like it says above your fight, Scottish title, and then it says final of the Ironman tournament. But I know they were trying to like figure us out, because the title that he's fighting for is vacant as well, I believe, the last time we checked. So
most
I know
of the Scottish titles are, to be honest.
Yeah, they've just put like this kind of eliminator together. He's fighting Robbie Graham, I believe.
Robbie Graham.
How do you think that fight's going to go, just off of top of your head? Obviously, we know that you want Smarty to get the job done.
Nah, I reckon Smarty will win it. He's got too much amateur pedigree. Yeah. Robbie Graham's, even though Robbie's from my promotion and we're managed by the same, Robbie's just not got the same pedigree as Andrew has. So
I do I was saying to Lee just before you got here, we were talking about Smarty, and I was watching one of the interviews on is it Keenock Boxing Scotland?
Kinnick.
Okay, I'm trying to pronounce that later.
Everyone says like Kinnick, but it's Kinnick.
Okay, Kinnick. And he was being interviewed alongside Robbie, because Robbie had just had this semi-final that he won in that. And the guy that he had fought, Kyle Boyd, I think he had been like chatting a bit of that beforehand. They had asked like Smarty what they had thought about it, and he was just there. I thought it was quite pathetic, to be honest. It was just like absolutely no filter. Just like guys been beating
got to be the way.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Like, the pro games, the entertaining sport. Do you know what I mean? They're entertaining.
Yeah.
You can't, like,
speaking of entertaining,
people want to hear your mind and hear your thoughts. So.
100%. Like, Another thing I caught from like an interview, you saying you need to keep running your mouth to like get to where you want to go. So I suppose that is like the entertainment side of it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Watching your last fight as well, there was a couple moments where how would I words? Fair to say that when you're in a fight, you're maybe a fan of being a bit of a wind up. Like,
yeah, a little bit. But see, the level lads I've been in with so far, they've obviously my last fight, I was meant to fight Paddy Pollock.
Yeah, and he pulled out like last day
a week before, and he'd already pulled out. I was on the ballroom show that got cancelled. It was just as well got cancelled because he pulled out like 2 weeks before that as well. So I was meant to do him for 6 rounds in the ballroom, and then they cancelled. And then Sam, because we were the same manager, he was like, right, I'll give you Fraser again, but we'll do it over 8 rounds. And basically, it was meant to be whoever won got to fight for the Scottish title. And then he pulled out in a week's notice. And it was weird because we'd all seen him training that, and we were like, oh, he's game, he's not going to pull out this. And I would have absolutely flattened him. So he still wants it, he can have it next year. So we had that Christoph's come in on a week's notice, who is a super middleweight. And I was down at super welter, like I was down at 70 kilos. And then Sam was like, you've got to be like 73 minimum. And I think I went in like, son, stupid, light. And he came in heavy. So so that was the difference. So the option was to go with somebody lighter who probably been a bit more boring for me, not really test me. So I was like, nah, like let's go with a boy a bit heavier and like see if he gives me an extra test I've not had yet. But obviously with the lower level opponent, I've got to keep it interesting for my boys that come see me or my fans that come see me. I can't just be a slugfest, and I've got to entertain a little bit. Especially when we fill in the gaps. So
definitely. There's like a couple of times where you're like up on the ropes, and it's fair to say the opponent like swings at air, and you kind of give them the shoulders a little bit. I think there's even a bit where like he like misses a punch like quite badly, lands around your back, and I don't know if it was one of the audience members or yourself, because I think you said something to him, like, what was that? I'm not sure if that was what happened, but either that or the crowd said it and your lips moved at the same time. Do you know what I mean? I was like how can you imagine how like an opponent would be raging at that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a wind up, isn't it?
Yeah,
like got to get them, man. I would feel the same. If I was missing and he was calling it, mate, he'd be getting it.
Have you ever had to go through that yourself, like in sparring, like
all the time.
You're like, facing someone that's just of a higher experience level or something like that?
You always hit them that barriers. Like young Lucas, like he's now like a full sparring partner to like me and Aaron, like because he's at the level now. Like if I was that good at 16, I'd be doing worlds by 18. Do you know what I mean? Like he's really that good. But like he might have went through a bit of a rut like 6 months ago because he was in with me and Aaron, and he was getting hit and he was getting frustrated with himself that he wasn't being able to do what he was thinking about. But I was like to him, you're so many more beatings away from where you want to be. Like I've had to go through so many wars to actually like make it work. I was like, but now he's coming at the back end of that, and I wouldn't even want to fight him. Like, do you know what I mean?
it's just part of life, though, isn't it? Loss, you know what I mean? And I think
it's not about the what like you gain from it. It's about like learning that process.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. Yeah,
humbles you definitely. Mm-hmm. So your opponent Corey McCulloch, in that interview, when you get asked about him, you say that you've sparred him, and then you kind of grin a little bit. Is it fair to say that you're quite confident going into this matchup of how you match up with him?
I'm always confident.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to be confident. But Corey's coming, like, he's fought a super welterweight quite a bit, but he's a welterweight, and he's come up to fight me, which to be honest, I'm thankful, because if people keep pulling out, I'm going to get so disheartened, and I'm just keep like, crap it, do you know what I mean? But
how big a pool of fighters is there kind of for your weight roundabout? I'm not saying Scotland, but obviously you're talking like the North England for fighting as well. Is that a pool of 10 or is it a pool of 50? What are we talking?
I'd say in Britain, some of the biggest weight classes is welterweight, smarters weight, and then my weight is super welter. I think there's 8 lads in my category in Britain. I'm ranked like number 35th or something right now. Okay. With this win, hopefully go top 20. That's hopefully the plan.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of boys. Like the pro game's weird because like Sam knows I'd jump on a show next week.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna risk me getting a dodgy decision against somebody he knows I could beat. Do you know what I mean? So right now is about building the momentum and just gaining experience before like next year I want to fight for a world title. Like that's my plan now.
Yeah.
Like you've got to have so many like 10 rounders, so many 6 rounders before you can do it. It's just so high level opponent, whatever. But that's my plan. Back end of summer, I would love to do that.
The marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah,
Especially
100%.
like the build of it, yeah.
And it's bad for somebody like me because I am so eager.
Yeah.
Like I am so eager. Sam probably gets so annoyed at me the minute I'm messaging him. But he says like it's better to have to hold you back than have to push you towards it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good that you've got like, those people around you as well. Like you mentioned Ratch. We'll bring him up as well. We mentioned him with Smarty. Obviously, he got a bit of wider recognition through that BBC award at the end of last year, was it?
Yeah, correct.
Like,
it was this week last year. Yeah, year ago.
Appropriate timing, eh?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask, like, obviously, like, you'll have had a massive impact on you, like, being a boxer in your career and that, but I guess, like, what kind of impact has he had on you becoming the person you are today? And
loads.
that as well?
He's my second dad. Like, from...
Your second person to say that.
yeah, he's the second dad. Like, my dad wasn't in my life for, like, a good bit, like, 3, 4, 5 years. And, like, he was always there. Every question I asked him, he was just there to just answer it. And it definitely has made a big impact on my life. I don't think he would, I don't think I would be where I'm at if it wasn't for him, 100%. Like, when I did eventually turn over, I didn't want to have to leave Elgin. So, like, and when I did that eventually, because obviously he never got his pro card for Smarty in the start because obviously he was so the club was so dependent on him. But, like, things have changed in the club. Like, we have a lot of top level lads going down to Scotland training that, and they say once you start going down to Scotland, you're no longer like an Elgin boxer, you're a Scotland boxer. Like, they're in charge of what you do now, I mean, to an extent. So now Rat's got more freedom in what he does, and like, so it's helpful that I can just get what I need. But yeah, it's been a big impact.
What do you think it's going to be like for him on the night when you and Smarty fight? Because he's obviously known both of you since you were like kids, right? So now that he's going to be in your corners as you're fighting for like these titles, like champions of like the country and stuff like that, how do you think that's going to be like for
He'll
him?
be the calmest man in the room.
Yeah.
The calmest man in the room. He's just stone cold like that, like, especially when it comes to his fighters. And he knows the work that I'm doing in the gym. He knows how hard I'm training. So when I get in the corner, he's probably more confident than I am. Do you know what I mean? So that's like the person behind me pushing me back up. So yeah, he'll be stone cold calm. Like,
what do you think the atmosphere is going to be like?
oh,
Do you
just
think
outrageous.
Do you think that away fighters can prepare for that at all? Do you think they might underestimate it?
A little bit.
Because I did hear Robbie say like he was quite surprised it was in Elgin, and like I know where like Murray's seen as a bit of a secluded area a lot of the time, so they're probably like, oh, it'll just be like. But we're talking about the town hall can probably fit like 500 people.
500,
right about that.
I think how many? I think it's 5. I think it's just over 500 we've got. And Andrew sold. I've sold all my tickets, but Andrew sold his last table last night, so that's just completely sold out, I think.
That's madness.
So it's like, and the last time Andrew did it, like, I was there. I was away to make my Scotland debut when Andrew first fought in there, and that I think we had something like 13 tables in that time, and this time there's 26. So like we've doubled the capacity that was there last time nearly.
Is it hard not to get carried away when you've got that kind of atmosphere going on around you? Kind of, is it hard not to just start swinging and getting
a little
in
bit.
a slugfest?
You hear them rumbling in the background, and it does eggs you on a little bit. But sometimes it's what you need. Like, especially at a good shot, and maybe if you're starting to go. Like when I stopped Jordan Latemer in the Ironworks, I can't remember. It was like, what, stopped him for like 15 seconds to go in the first round, and I can't remember a thing from that whole round there. I just remember hearing everyone going, and I was like, I just kept throwing punches there.
Yeah.
There's a video of me, like, I get sent to the corner after the second time he goes down, and Rat just screaming at me to try to get my attention, and I'm away here. I'm away, just like, I didn't know what was going on now. But yeah.
Kind of going back to your opponent, I'd ask Smarty the same thing. At this level, maybe not so much, but is it more about studying your opponent, or is it more focusing on your own game going into a fight?
More focusing on me, 100%. Like, the winners worry about winning, and losers worry about winners. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Is there certain things you think, right, I know he's got a decent maybe left hook or something like that. Is it about avoiding these things, or you think, nah, I'm going to fuck this dude up? Like,
nah, I'm a vet. Like, the way I'm a come forward boxer. That's how I describe my style. I like to come forward, but I like to box. I don't get involved in scraps.
Do you base your style on any boxer?
Nah, you can never intimidate in our boxer style. Like, I've got my own style. Yeah, that's the way I like to look at it. That's good, that though.
Yeah. It's better to be unique, because then you can't really study you unless you're actually watching you. You know, it's not like, all right, this guy boxes like Cortez, so let's watch some Cortez.
Yeah,
you know,
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can look too much into it,
because then you almost try to become them. You can never be like that. You've got to be your own person.
Kind of like an example. comes to mind like Anthony Joshua. Like he kind of got success from like kind of
and then you've got these Joshua clones coming along now.
Well, like he tried to like learn boxing, and he's lost 3 times since then. Right? So it's just kind of about people's styles and stuff like that. So you're saying that you're going to get a finish in Elgin. I think I heard you say on the interview. Do you visualize that? Is that something that goes through your head when you like imagine on the night, or can you not think about that? You have to like.
Nah, you've got to think about that. Like when you're hitting the bag, you're thinking about it. Man. When you're bloody skipping, you're thinking about it. Everything's just visualization. I feel it's like a law of attraction as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You think about it constantly. Oh, like I've got bored in my room and I just write, I will be Scottish champion every morning.
Really?
I got told to do that by Cyrus Ramon Patterson. I speak to him a little bit over Instagram, and he's ex-GB. He's signed to match him. Like he's IBO Intercontinental champion, and he's like, just write it down every day. Every day, just keep writing it. He's like, all happen.
When Aidan came on, he was on about he's got the same mental coach as Adesanya.
David Neathie or something.
Yeah,
like
and he's got to, when he comes into the room, not see himself as
Aidan Stephen.
You have to be coming in as the phenomenal. Seeing yourself in a different mindset. So, it's a lot of mental game. This, isn't it?
You got to trick. You have to trick yourself almost. And believing you're something more than you are.
Yeah.
You know, come out on top. Like Raj is quite definite with me. Like when I come into the gym, like everyone speaks to everyone before you start training. You're doing raps and you're speaking away. But as soon as I've my raps are on, that's it. Like in the zone. Like your next hour of training, like just get it done, and then you speak after. Yeah. Because you've got to be switched on the whole time. Yeah, like there's a switch. You notice it with we had the amateur show last night. And I had some young lads, and I was like, you can tell when to switch off because you lose eye contact. And I was like, I think some young lads think that you'll notice a punch coming by looking at his arms, looking where his hands are. It's like everything's in the eyes when it comes to fighting. If you're not looking in the eyes, you're gonna miss something. So you got to trick yourself.
Do you like the mindset for fighting? Like one thing that comes to mind is like the kind of killer instinct. Mm-hmm. Some people say that you can learn that. Some people say that you're born with that. Where do you kind of sit on that fence? Do you think someone can be taught to have that, or do you think if someone has a tendency to freeze, that will just be how they act every time that they're in like a big situation?
They like go for the kill. Mm-hmm. I think it's situational, and I think it depends how hard you train as well, like and how bad you want it. Because I think that's what it comes down to. It's how bad you want it. Yeah. It's not whether you've got it in you. It's how bad you want it. It's like when I went through Royal Marine training, the training team, the corporals and that, they're like, it's not the lads that are the fittest, it's not the lads that are smartest, it's literally the lads that won't give up, it'll pass.
Mental strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is literally at the end of the day. So it's not something you have, it's just how much you're willing to give.
And like having like that hard training camp and everything and pushing yourself as hard as you can go gives you that comfort in the fight. Like you have done everything, whereas if you have like cut a corner, that it probably will manifest itself in the back of your mind that leads to shocks and that. So you mentioned that you're like a massive fan of the sport outside of obviously being a fighter yourself. I kind of wanted to ask you two sides of the coin that's kind of going on with boxing at the moment. So we have like, this has kind of always been a problem in boxing of where we can't seem to get like the fights like everyone wants to see. So I've got two down here. We've got Crawford and Spence, which it seems like it's been going on for like 6 years now.
I don't think that'll happen.
No,
not now. No. They had one chance this.
Yeah,
and they say that like Spence is waiting out Crawford because obviously Crawford's a bit older, I think, and he'll just kind of wait him out till he's a bit drier and then take him.
It was a fair fight 3 years ago. It's not a fair fight now.
Yeah,
it's getting less fair by the fucking day.
Yeah, it was the same with like Canelo, Triple G, like. There was two contested fights and they were like, let's keep Triple G away for 5 years.
41 years old.
It's like Pacquiao and Mayweather happened 5 years too late. It's all these big fights happen.
They are getting a bit better. Like you see Wasserman and Boxer, Sky Sports working a bit more together. You see Wasserman, Matchroom working a bit more together. Like I think the promoters are probably realising the money's not coming in.
Yeah.
And they're realising it together and like we need to do something to make sure.
Like there's quite an uproar about Fury Chisora 3 at the moment.
Yeah, because why is that happening?
That fight's happened twice already, and it's not like it's 1-1 and they're charging nearly £30 for it.
Yeah. Craziness.
And obviously that's the other fight I had down here, Usyk versus Fury. I mean, the heavyweight undisputed thing just kind of seems to like elude everyone. It was like Joshua Wilder, then Joshua got beat, and then Fury beat Wilder's, and then Joshua won the titles back. It was like, right, the two British guys. I think it
also goes back to like you grew up on Tyson Lewis and Holyfield, and you're absolutely spoiled rotten. So like, it's not always going to be that dream division. It's like watching wrestling in the 90s. It's 10 times better than it ever was these days. Like, you know, just
even back in the 90s, was it Lennox and Riddick Bowe? They were like considered the best two heavyweights.
Yeah.
They never fought, even though every other kind of matchup did. You know what I mean? But so the other side I want to ask you about is I want to ask you about the kind of influencer boxing stuff that's going on at the moment. So like,
you mean like YouTube?
Like the YouTube guys and stuff like that.
Nah, infuriates me.
Yeah,
I like. If maybe at the start, if they kept it on YouTube, it would be alright. But as soon as you start going pay-per-view and making people pay for it, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mockery, and that it makes it look more like WWE. And then the actual fighters who are coming up and through are looking at it and go, oh, they're making money by just acting like an idiot. I'm gonna act like an idiot as well, and they just ruin their whole reputation.
And plus,
like Tommy Fury's completely done. Like you'll never be taken serious again.
Yeah.
I think Love Island started that, didn't it? It's like,
but it is wild because like, in one way, like I suppose you kind of have to respect them for actually doing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like these dudes have all got big followings and make like a lot of monetization through loads of other things, and they're like you said, they're kind of filling a queue for people that are, you know, working their ass off in the gym, working full time as training, you know, for like ends meet as well.
Yeah.
So it is a bit uncomfortable to see because they'll talk about, I work hard and stuff like that, but they've got like a training camp that they've paid for.
Yeah, it's like a 30 grand training camp where like you've got some area title fight that somebody's just put like their life into it. Do you know what I mean?
Pretty much. Like,
I mean, one of them fought
crazy.
Mayweather a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
like he must just be absolutely laughing at the moment, right? He's like looking at the sky and not even trying. It was like this is wild because like you can't knock Mayweather for doing it, right?
Yeah, no,
like
you're not going to turn down money like that.
Exactly, right? And he's always played the villain perfectly. Like I remember
definitely
watching him and Ricky Hatton 10 years ago, and everyone thinking Ricky's going to do it. Like, and then every Mayweather fight, he was like, he's going to do it. And it was like, nah, it's not happening now. But this all kind of, in a weird way, kind of got started by the Mayweather-McGregor stuff. I think that was kind of like...
Yeah, a little bit.
It just knocked a bowling pin down and we went into this episode of wacky races where, like, if some guy's got 5 YouTube videos, they're like, right, you know, which professional wants it, do you know what I mean? And it's like...
Is it something that ever interested you further down the line, MMA?
Nah.
No.
Nah.
Too much?
I've done a bit. I sparred, during lockdown, I sparred Ross Houston.
Yeah.
Thingy. Just as he was about to fight MVP.
Yeah.
And I had my boxing boots on. I was going to doing a bit of boxing with him. And Ross Houston leg kicked me or something, wherever. I'm not joking. I was like, that's me. I'm done. you see the size of Ross Houston? He's massive, man.
Yeah.
Leg kick off him.
Absolute wars as well.
And I've sparred a lot of boys in my time, and I've never seen anyone with such a poker face. I couldn't get anything off him. It was crazy.
Yeah. Big lad. Like, grappled with him once, and then I think it lasted about 10 seconds. Fucking, I'm out of here. All right. But no, so like no interest at all.
Nah, I like watching a bit of a bit of UFC, but never really taken much interest in past that. I like watching their training because obviously I can relate to it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, nah.
Why do you think like there's such tribalism around like MMA and boxing? They always seem to be like, we need like Fury and Ngannou, like, and it's just I don't get it. Like, there's room for both sports, right? They're completely different. And it's like I don't see why. Like, both are kind of... I would say that MMA probably started it, right? Because there was people that were out here saying, like, Conor McGregor's going to win in the first round and that. And it's like, come on, like, let's like, be real here for a second. And then, obviously, the Paulo Malignaggi stuff. And then it just keeps going, you know? It's wild, but they want... And I suppose from, like, an MMA standpoint, they're talking about, like, not being paid enough money at, like, the highest level. So I can understand maybe why they want to box, because you make... there's not like a percentage fee, right? And like the UFC is like I don't want to say a dictator, but it's a company that owns all the fighters' contracts. Where in boxing there is a blessing of a curse of it is there's more freedom because there's different promoters and it's not just as simple as you're showing up here and this is the flat fee and that there's a lot more negotiations. But it is wild. I don't understand why they keep pushing like we have to have this boxing versus MMA stuff. Like, I get like, the once.
It's the once is good, but I know what you mean. There's no need. There'll never be another McGregor, and there'll never be another Floyd Mayweather. So the fact they fought is pretty suited. But apart from that, I don't see any.
Yeah, it's just
kind
of
past it.
Watered down, really, isn't it? And it'll give people, because a lot of the people that are watching like the YouTube guys, they're like obviously of a younger demographic, and it's probably going to give them a watered down version of what boxing
It's almost like a
is.
false sense of boxing, because it's it's people who have trained for 6 months rather than people who have trained for 10, 15 years, you know, and it's things that look good over 3 rounds, where these like fake boxing, I'm going to call it fake boxing fights are happening, whereas you don't actually get to see the technique that goes into a 12 round fucking war, you know.
Yeah, it's a game of chess.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Even elite level amateur boxing. Is
your Olympics and things like that.
That's crazy compared to what they're doing now.
Do you think like one of those dudes is going to get seriously hurt at some point?
Oh, 100%, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah. I think that'll just scare everyone off after.
Well, I don't even know what size of gloves they're using though. Like, fair play to Jake Paul. Like, Jake Paul's putting in mad amounts of training camps. He's actually taking it serious. And, like, the fact he paid all that fighters' wages when the show got cancelled, and that, like, that's decent. But I don't know apart from like his promotions, I don't know. I think they're all using like 14-ounce gloves now. Like, you're not gonna get hurt by 14-ounce gloves.
Yeah,
like, you get hit hard, but you're not gonna get hurt. Like, have you ever seen an 8-ounce professional glove?
Yeah, it's
like
not.
Smarty
not
fights
that
in
much
8s, I fight
padding.
in 10s. But them 8-ounce gloves are nuts. Like,
solid.
they're just like, and like you get like grants, which are like made from like horsehair and that, and or clitoris rays. Like they're face breakers. Like, people break your face. Like the RDX ones, they're notoriously bad for people breaking their hands on them because they're just solid. Like, it's not even the padding; it's the leather on top that's solid. So,
because there is like a lot of kind of stuff that goes into the negotiations about like horsehair and stuff like you mentioned.
Like Floyd Mayweather never let anyone fight him with horsehair.
Yeah, so
who was it had the bricks again?
Margarita, was it?
Yeah, Margarita.
The plaster in his hand.
Yeah. And Shane Mosley was like, "Go undo your gloves." He was like, "Why?" You know what I mean? Half a fucking wall falls out of there.
Did you get much injuries, Fraser?
Not really. Yeah.
No. I've broken hands or anything like that.
Nah, never. No broken nose, nothing. The only time when the second time I fought Sabah Muhammad. Sabah Muhammad. So I went down to England on the Scotland versus England card on my first time I boxed for Scotland in a duel, and I got beaten in a 3-2 split, and like everyone was convinced I'd won it. Like, it was just dodgy for judging. So we got a rematch in Fort William, and it was once again a Scotland England duel, and after the first round we clashed heads, and my eye was just closing, and the referee was Donald. The referee from Elgin, Donald Campbell, came over to Ratch in the corner and was like, "Is he alright?" And Ratch was like, "Yeah, you can see." I'm not joking, I couldn't see anything after the second round. The boy was just loading up on rear hands the whole time, couldn't see him coming in. Apart from that, I'd be pretty sound. I was concussed for like a week after. I couldn't stand or nothing.
Oh, you came where I'm going next.
Oh God! He's been waiting for 6 months for this question to come back.
It's my favourite question. We've had a few combat athletes on. You ever been knocked out?
Nah.
Not in training.
I've been put down once when I was like 14. I was sparring Davey Reed, who was like one of our older boxers. He's now an official. He was like, he's a bit shorter. He was like, he was like a featherweight, and I must be like 14 at the time. Raj wasn't there. It was just Goldie. He was taking sparring, and this is when I was taking a lot of beatings off a lot of older boys, and I was like, I'll go on a round with Davey. 1 round left him, and I just walked in a punch, boom. And it's just, I remember like I dropped to my knees and I got back up. I was just seeing stars. That's the closest I've been to getting knocked out. Like, but it's always the punch you never see that knocks you out.
That's what they say.
It's never the punch you see coming.
One thing you can never prepare for like a fight or anything like that.
I think you can. Like, I feel like you need to be hit and stunned because your toes go tingly.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for that, that's usually why most boys drop and they get back to their feet because it's not like they've been hurt. It's just they're not used to the tingle on the toes.
Yeah.
So being able to take a hit, it's definitely a thing you need to be a fighter. Because you're always going to get to a point where you're going to get hit. Like, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it's inevitable, yeah. Like, can you even like think when like that happens? Is it just something that's like proper instinct after that, or
it's
are you in the back of your head?
If it's happened before, you know to surf the wave. Do you know what I mean? Grab and hold them, and then all that.
I've been punched in the pub a few times. I know what the wave feels like. Aye.
Well, that kind of brings us up, like another thing that we've brought up a lot of time as well is like, have you ever like been out of a pub and like kind of seen this culture of people that have never like had a fight in their life or don't like train or whatever, that like haven't ever been shown that they're not invincible? I guess would be like the kind of characteristic that people go out, like you see people in the pub like
people fighting in that.
Yeah, like I've like barred 5 guys on one night before and stuff like that.
They're a bit everywhere. They're like, if you couldn't do it sober though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just the Dutch courage.
Are you a bit like when we had Aiden on, he's always on about like guys that are always come up to him at night and they're like, oh, I'm going to come down to the boxing club.
Oh, all the time, man. All the time. I just don't entertain it. I'm like, yeah. What night's it on? Not sure. You just don't entertain them, man.
Why do you think like they feel the need to do that?
Because they try to relate to you.
Yeah.
But I think this people don't like you, like actually going somewhere and achieving something, so they have to almost like level themselves up to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
no,
in that certain aspect. Not that I'm better than anyone else, but like
people are envious. Though,
yeah,
right?
that's
like
it.
If they've not went like a certain way in their life and they're like struggling and they see someone having success, they get bitter, right? Even if they know that person or not.
It must be like, I'm not comparing you to like celebrities, but when a celebrity guys ask for a photo, they're like, fuck's sake, just
So like, see when I like right now, like I dream of fighting on Matchroom in Sky Sports, and I've got a security guard that takes me from the ring to Thingy, because when I get out of the ring, see when you're stone cold sober and everyone's 3-course mealed, been drinking since 2 o'clock, and you're out the ring and the first thing they do is grab you, I'm like, this is the last thing I want to. So I always try to get to the changing room first and then come out and see everyone when I've a bit, like, because it's the worst thing coming out the ring after you've like beat you, because you're basically there to entertain everyone, aren't you? Apart from the winning part and make sure you win, you're there to entertain everyone and make sure everyone has a good time. Do you know what I mean? So like as soon as I'm at the ring, the first thing I want to do is make sure I'm all right before like seeing to everyone else.
Do you have like a routine like after a win or just after a fight in general, like just to kind of? I would imagine you kind of have to decompress it away, right? Because it's like it's a mad situation.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot going on. Not really. It's just a bit scrambled after we left. It's just because you're like, I'm gonna do A, B, C, D. It just goes out the window.
Right. So what about like? I wanted to talk about. I've seen on your last fight the guy that edited the video. Like you kind of got the full walkout treat. I was actually like genuinely impressed. Like the production behind it. Is it going to be good? What he does. Like, is it going to be the same for like Elgin as well, or? So I think Jamie might come back up again, but I've got another lad, young Leon Miel. He's down at like a filming school right now in London. He's up for Christmas. He's back, so he's from Elgin, but he's coming back for Christmas. So he wants to do a bit of filming, so that'll be good as well.
Maybe like, someone for the podcast.
Yeah, keep it in mind. But sorry, are you getting like the walkout at Elgin Town Hall and stuff like that as well? Do you get like says and like your you get says in your entrance music and stuff like that? But will it be like with a headband again and stuff like that?
I've got a nice little kit made up for this one. Like,
nice lad. Is the fight going to be posted to your YouTube channel afterwards?
Probably,
again?
Yeah. Do you get much pick in your fights?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you get a pick. But for like maybe the first two, they were just like, you're going out with him, and I was like, right, sound. But then for the when I fought Jordan Laitmer, he was meant to fight Luca Micheletti, but he'd lost a load of weight, and beside like he was meant to be like a 50-50 fight for Luca, and then he lost all the weight. And I wasn't. I was adamant I was doing a 6-rounder. Sam's got like a 4x4 rule, so you do 4 4s before you get to your 6. Yeah. And I was adamant after my second. I was like, I'm doing 6 next, because like I'm not waiting about for nobody. Like I need to get moving. I want to get the closest titles as possible, like in the close amount of time. And then like I think it was like 2 weeks before he phoned me. He was like, I'll give you Jordan Laitmer in a 50-50, and he was like 2 wins, 1 loss at the time. And I was like, I didn't even think about it.
How many fights are on the card? Because obviously you've got Smarty as the main event yourself. Ben Bartlett's on the show.
I don't think Ben's fighting anymore.
All right, okay.
That's the other thing about pro shows, man. People pulling out and that, it's just mental. But I think Ben's taking a bit of back burner towards the end of the year. I think he's just getting a good amount of training done. I think Paul Diaz, Smarty's last opponent, I think he's on the undercard. And then there's an Irish prospect coming over. He's fighting on the card too.
You talked about, is it Lucas, young Lucas?
Yeah.
Is he kind of your next big thing coming out of Elgin? Or?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and young Rizza are good. They're good lads.
I've trained down at SBG and we've had Corey down there. He's a good young lad.
He's brand new. Him and Lucas, but there's loads of good lads. See, when I was younger, like I was the only one dedicated enough to stay in it. There was me and maybe Jack Reed at the time. And then I had to spar Meg for most of my schoolboys because there was no one else my size. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, Raj, I don't want to do it. He's like, here. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so I guess it worked. But now, like in So when I used to, when I was with all these like kids, because there's a kids class, let's say kids, but like it's the younger group. They're from like 8 to 16, and then there's the 16, the seniors class they call it, and they've never had that when I was there. I was just like 10-year-old in with like 30-year-olds. So I mean, which I think is kind of better because you get to see the progression. And I always had my eye on Smarty, or had my eye on like Josh or somebody like that, somebody better. I was always watching them. But like Ratchet's kind of got a system now. Like as soon as you get to like the stage where you can move up and you're getting better, then like they're like the top boys in the lower class, the younger class, and you can see everyone feeding off them. Like they've got like 3 or 4 like 10, 11-year-olds fighting last night. They're just brilliant. They're just good to watch. Like there's nothing like that when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? So it's good to see.
I think it's like it's a great thing for like especially like young kids, especially in like an area where Murray where they always say there's not that much to do. And I guess one of the questions I had is if you hadn't taken up combat sports, let's just say in an alternative university, you hadn't done boxing and that, do you think you might have ended up going down the road and maybe getting into trouble or something like that? That it tends to happen. Like
I don't think I'll get in trouble because I've got too much of a guilty conscience as a person.
Oh yeah.
I
It's weird you're a boxer then.
He deserved it though. No,
he's trying to say it's okay. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
sorry.
I don't think I'll get in trouble, but definitely like I took like a year and a half out of boxing when I was like 16. I went and played football and that, and got in a bit of drinking and that, and because I'd starved all my youth just boxing, and like I didn't see my friends in that. So like when I got to like the age of drinking that, when everyone's like going out at 16, 17, out drinking, I was like, right, just want to go do this. And when I got back to boxing, I was like, I resented them for not stopping me. I was like, why didn't you press me just to stay there? But now when I look back at it now, I would not have been the same boxer if I stayed at it. I probably would have been worse off because I would have got more disheartened at like how, because at the time I was just like I was fighting like you never see it now, but like I remember I fought in like Dundee on like a Saturday night, and then went to our show on the Sunday morning in Glasgow, like 2 fights in one weekend. It's like you don't see any of that nowadays. No. Like, not unless it's like the championships. Like, and when I was younger, I was quite tight, quite neat boxer. I was good to watch, and I was getting fights everywhere. I was never getting decisions in that, but I was getting experience. And once you've had like 20 odd fights, it's hard to just put you in with somebody who's only had 5. Because I wasn't really a 20 fighter at the time. I was maybe like 10. So trying to like climb myself back up. And then I was giving everything. I was losing the split decisions, and I was getting so disheartened. I was like, what's the point in doing this if I'm not reaping the rewards? So I took a bit of time out, and then I think Lee Selby came up to the club when he had won his IBF world title. He did like showcasing that him, his brother came up, and Kev messaged me, the boy that owns the club, Kev Jamin. He was like, come just see what it's like. We'll do a bit of sparring. Everyone's gonna do a bit of sparring. A big like open day, like food, barbecue, whatever. And I got him with Ola, a boy who was from the club. He was a good bit older than me, and I just dropped him a body shot, and I was like, I'll see you next week. So that was it.
We asked Smarty this as well, and it seems to be like quite a common answer, but would you rather hit someone in the head or the body? What's more satisfying?
Oh, I don't know. Probably rendering them unconscious, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've not done it yet, but it's going to happen.
3 weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully not.
But yeah, no, like, a lot of people say body shots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so why do you think that is? Is it just because it like folds someone like a deck chair?
I see he knows it's hurting.
You can see the wind going out then, can't you? And it's like, fuck that.
I'd rather take a body shot than a shot to the head though. So that's probably why.
Do you like go for like brain scans and stuff like that as well?
Yearly brain scan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in September.
Is that like through like the health service, or do you have to pay to get that?
No,
done?
you got to pay to get that done. Yeah. It's all private.
Cheaper there.
Yeah, it's not. It's getting medical's done by the end of the year about £1,000, so it's not cheaper. Like, so I'm just thankful I've got good sponsors that are like wanting to back me in that.
Do I give your sponsors a shout out?
Oh, there's like 40 of them. they know who they are. They're top. They're all the best tradesmen at Murray. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, we're kind of speaking. You don't base yourself off anyone, but do you have a dream fight? Anyone in the pro ranks you think, fuck, I'd love to fight them? Nah.
Anyone with my title.
Yeah.
So, like, it's
a good way to look at it.
I look at a lot of fighters, but it's like even my weight right now at the world level is one of the Charlo twins. He's undisputed.
Yeah.
And he's not fighting anyone. He's under Al Heyman, so like my weight is really hard, like world level, to see the top fights. There's Sebastian Formella. He's signed to PBC, I think, as well. He might be Golden Boy. He's 6'4". He's my weight.
That's massive.
Mexican. He's unreal. You look at him and think he's not a boxer. Right? He looks like a beanpole. Like he's mad, but he's knocking lads out as well. So you think he's the world champion, but then Charlo's like the super champ or whatever. This franchise
it's like
champion.
Sugar Sean, isn't it?
He's
just too big for the division. And
I know
O'Malley,
about
just sparking people like left, right, and centre.
They always say when it's the tall, rangy boxers with the big backs because you got like more rotation in your punches. Like Callum Smith, he bangs.
Yeah,
he's lang. He bangs.
Yeah, he just fought Canelo recently as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he fought Canelo. No, he's just moved up to light heavy now though. He's moved up to light heavy. He's just had 2 knockouts. So.
What did you make of the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn situation?
Oh, I honestly
madness.
I was like near tears. I was a big Conor Benn fan. Yeah. Like when you seen where he went from like nothing to something, there was like this crazy. I hope like there's the part of me that still hopes that he has been expected. Like there's part of me that hopes that, but I don't think it's ever true.
No, I don't think so.
You know what I mean? But then that's the nasty part of the pro game. Like they knew before the fight was even signed they'd failed a drug test.
I think it was like a week and a half that they knew that as well. And
do you know what I mean?
The press leaked it and they were like, "Oh, we have to cancel it now." So,
but even before that, like, so he had obviously failed 2 drugs tests. One was in July, and they had signed the fight in August. So they'd known for like probably a full month that he had failed the drugs test and still went for it.
And it was the same with like when Canelo got done and they tested him for something and they were like, right, we'll come back and test you tomorrow.
But now in Mexico, I think what was he done for? It was
Clenbuterol or something
like
that. He said it was in the meat.
Yeah, but it actually is in the meat. So WBC have like ordered when the Mexicans in Mexico get like drug tests and that, they've got a certain percentage of it in their system, they'll get away with it. Just because it genuinely is in the meat down there, like they're feeding the cows it to like beef them up. So
that's crazy. It's not that's Wild West.
Jacksonated.
I feel
Jacksonated. But like, I mean, that it's a thing with boxing, isn't it? It's always got corruption tied to it in some way and form.
It's like every sport and everything in the world's corrupt there.
Yeah.
Like
got the fucking World Cup on just now.
Like everything's a harsh reality, yeah. But that's why you can't like if you, I don't know, like you got to always protect yourself from that as well, and just look after yourself and not worry about other people try like.
Have you ever been on the end of a decision where you thought,
I'd never won that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a couple of times.
But I think it's smart. I kind of touched on it. Is it to do with more like home shows and things like that?
It is a bit. Home fighter always gets a bit decision.
Yeah.
Like your home fighter's always getting 2 rounds. That's why I kind of don't want me and Corey to go the full distance, because I don't want to be discredited and be like, you've just took him the distance.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was in Elgin.
Yeah, it was in Elgin. Like, I don't want that. Like, and I feel like right now, but like the way I signed with Sam, and I don't feel like the boxing scene, like in the pro game, is taking me seriously, like as a prospect. Like I've said, Sam, like this is my coming out fight. Like I'm gonna win this in spectacular style and make sure everyone's talking about me, because I genuinely think I'm gonna go somewhere. Like I've been speaking to some people over in America about fighting on like UFC Fight Pass next year, and some big fights.
Madness,
but
man.
Like sweet, like.
But they're all whispers,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Until all this fight's happened.
They like you said, the law of attraction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep saying stuff like that for it to happen.
You've got to get your name out there.
Yeah.
You know, as we kind of touched on it earlier on, self promotion's just as much these days as fighting ability.
100%. Yeah. Like if I didn't post about me fighting in Elgin Town Hall, who was gonna know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, who was gonna know?
Yeah, mate. 100%. So like, I was just going. There was another fight I was going to bring up. Totally lost my train of thought. I hope you have something so I don't have to cut this out.
Yeah, I've got plenty. I thing I like to touch on with combat athletes is weight, like fight weight and things. How close are you kind of camp? Are you cutting a lot of weight? Are you putting on a lot of weight?
My last fight, obviously, my last fight was a super middle, so I had to put on about 3 kilo before that fight.
Yep.
And then obviously you come out from your fight, you eat a bit, so I went up a bit heavier than usual, but then got back down. But like when I came home from the Marines, I was like solid, like I probably the best shape I was ever been in. I was like 79 kilo.
Yeah.
So then my fighting weight now is 70. But right now I'm not far off it.
Aye.
Like I'm breezing in it. So.
Do you think the Marines is kind of stand you good stead for being in the ring?
100%. I didn't know I could do half the stuff I could mentally, just getting pushed. Not saying that because like the lads that passed out are a lot harder than I am, but I the thing was when I was down there, and I made quite a good lot of pals when I was down there, like a lot of lads I still speak to, but they were the lads turning off their phone and not speaking to their family for 6 months, and I was like, because they know, like most of them know that like when you go away, you have to be fully dedicated to it.
Like that,
and when I was away, all I could think about was boxing. I just wanted the box. I remember like when the first thing I did when I got my phone was looking at like Sky Sports as he was fighting. Do you know what I mean? Like it's bad, but that's what I was doing because that's the only thing that interests me. It's the only thing that goes around my mind. Like I'm a bricklayer for Suitors and Sons, and then like my boss knows how much I love boxing. So like he's thankful to him. He's giving me time off like next week for like nearly 3 weeks. For 3 weeks just before Christmas. So like I'm thankful he's done that, but he knows that like it's a weird one because I'm a good brickie because my dad was a brickie, so I've been doing it most of my life. But so like because something comes natural, but when it's something that comes so natural that I'm not really interested in, it makes it like so hard to be consistent at it.
Yeah,
because I don't want to do it. I don't want to be. And like I'm building away, and all I can think about is what I'm going to do boxing tonight or what I'm wanting to do in boxing in general. It just all goes around my mind. So yeah.
In terms of your amateur career, I think you said in that interview that you can't remember how many losses you had, too many to count or something like that. Yeah, too many to count. But that speaks volumes of you, right? Because a lot of people would take those losses and, like you said, get disheartened and be like, but you've always rose to a challenge, came back and want to go bigger and better and throw yourself at the deep end in every kind of facet of your life, right?
Yeah. Well, you've got to be all in it. Like if I don't go all in, I'll probably 5 years time going, see if I gave it everything then, I probably would have done something. Like the regret will always be worse than
if not now, then when?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a brilliant way to look at, especially being a boxer and a professional boxer. That's a brilliant way to look at your life. You're obviously a very confident man.
Yeah.
Has that always been you, or is that kind of came with?
It's definitely came. I've trained that in me a little bit. Like as a youth and like as a younger lad, I was quite. I wouldn't say I was shy.
Yeah.
Like because I always felt like there was something in the back of me that wanted to come out. As in like being more confident, but I was just trying to tell myself that it was
maybe
all
pass that on to the younger members of the boxing club. You maybe see them a bit like yourself, a bit shyer, a bit quieter as younger. You know, to kind of seeing yourself now, you're quite able to speak for yourself and that.
Yeah.
Is it something that you do when you're at the club? Is it coaching? I know you're coaching, teaching people how to box and things, but also it's like it's life lessons, as you said with Ratch. He's kind of taught you things, and it's life lessons. It's not just boxing. Is it something you do with the younger ones as well, or is it kind of
a little bit? Like one of the lads that fought last night, like there's like obviously ways you speak to fighters before they go out in the ring, and they'll be like, you can't say certain things because it might switch them to do something else or put them in a different, like stem them off a different mindset. But like one of the lads was like going, and I was just telling him, I was like this is your home show. Like he's came to your show to fight you. Like you should be more confident in him, and you're a far better boxer than he is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was took a young lad from Lossy. I took him on pads, and I've never really took him on pads before, but I warmed him up and got him ready before we went out. I was like, you got a peach of a body shot, and he hit the lad by body shot last night, and he made him boy spew. He won by 2 kilos. It's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? I was telling him, I was like, that body shot is gonna land. That body shot is gonna land. I tell you, just throw it, it'll land, and he did, and it worked. So it's quite funny that.
I suppose it's like also the way you conduct yourself as well, right? Will trickle down to the younger members of the gym and stuff like that. So when you and Smarty win these titles in a couple of weeks' time, do you think that could be like the floodgates could open for the boxing club? Because obviously it's going to bring more media attention for your own careers, but obviously the club as well.
A little bit, but the club does that themselves already. Yeah? Like established Scott Edwards, 2-time Scottish champion, Aaron Devine, Scottish champion, Lucas, Scottish champion, Corey Rizza, British champion, Megan Gordon, she's with the Commonwealth Games, Youth Commonwealth Games. Do you know what I mean? Me and Smarty are like, we're doing our own thing, but we're like condemned by the club to like be part of the club, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like we're like Ratch's thing is no one's bigger than anyone at the club, and I feel like I'll always be like that. I feel like it's a good way to be as well. Like for myself, because like one day I might be fighting in like the MGM Grand or something, but I've still got to remember I came from Elgin Boxing Club. Like, and,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not bigger than anyone else just 'cause I'm fighting there.
100%. So what is the aspirations once you win the Scottish title? Is it to defend the belt? Is it to go further, to get the British as quick as possible?
I'd like my after this fight, I'd like Michael McGurk, who Corey was meant to fight. He pulled out in Corey, but he took some time out of boxing, and then he had won the WBC Silver Championship or something like that before he took a bit of time out. But I'd like to fight him, defend the title against him. He's 13-0 though, so the chances he's gonna fight me is very slim.
Yeah.
But if he's game, I'm game. Do you know what I mean? I'll go down to Glasgow as well. I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think the reason that he wouldn't fight you is because he wouldn't want to risk?
Yeah, like he's managed by the same manager as me, Sam. And Sam said to himself, he's like, he's not going to risk his O against somebody who's 5-0. He's like, you might be good enough to beat him, but he's like, or you might not be good enough to beat him, but he's not going to risk it against you when he could go down to like a Matchroom show and maybe get a bit of money for selling not selling is 13-0, but like having a good chance at somebody else for a title. He's not going to do that.
Do you understand that in a way? Like,
yeah, I do. Yeah. It's frustrating, but I understand it.
That O's worth a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as that. I don't care if I ever lose a fight. Do you know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, I was speaking to Lucas about it today when we were training, and I was like, one day somebody might beat me and I'll be turning and I'll be like, well, fair enough, because you probably have trained harder than I have. Because that at the end of the day is all it's going to come down to is if you have prepared yourself better than I have, that's the only way I'm going to get beat.
I think Roy Jones Jr. said that he was petrified of losing his O, and then he gained like a sense of freedom when he lost the first time.
Yeah.
Like, it was like that pressure of, I've got to stay undefeated. Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
I always feel with guys that are undefeated as well, you always get question marks afterwards. It's like, well, what about this guy? Would have beaten this guy?
You never know how good you are until you lose.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How good are you? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah.
He retired undefeated. Yeah. But like people would just go through his resume and grill him. Why'd you fight him? He wasn't that good, right? He wasn't that good. But Joe Calzaghe is an absolute standard. Yeah. Like he's probably my favourite boxer.
Beat Bernard Hopkins, beat Roy Jones, Chris Eubanks.
And then they go past him like Chris Eubanks probably past his best.
Yeah, they find reasons, don't they? They find reasons.
They just pick holes.
Exactly.
It's crazy, but it's just the way the world works. So
who are some of your favourite fighters at the moment and growing up as well?
Growing up, watched a lot. Me and my dad watched a lot of Joe Calzaghe. I loved watching him. Right now, myself. I like a lot of like the lighter weights. I like Devin Haney. I think he's really good. He's really underestimated and undervalued in boxing, I think.
He's just beat Kambosos twice, right?
Yeah.
It was weird because that title seemed to like turn people into a dick, right? It was like Teofimo Lopez got it, he became a dick, and then Kambosos won, and then he became a dick. You know what I mean? It was the curse, man. But yeah, that was like with Lomachenko and Ryan Garcia and all that as well. He's meant to be fighting Tank Davis.
I like Tank Davis, he's good, but that like a lot of like fighters' careers are just shunned by their promoters or the managers not making the fights happen and that. Like the best thing for a fighter when you get to that stage is just go no manager, no promoter.
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah, because he's had a bit of heat with Mayweather and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah. Have you ever had any heat with anyone that you've been fighting?
No, not
at all. Do you expect for the future?
Actually, I tell you, like, I fought Ali Mahmoud in the amateurs. There's a good beef about that. Like, he was raging when I beat him. So then he got me a rematch on his home show. It was like a Thursday night. I got off early at work at like 1 o'clock, and then me and Raj buzzed down the cards, me and him. And then, beat him. I beat him for a second time. That was a close fight. Like, that's probably one of those where I thought, I don't know if I've got this. But then it just goes down to what the judges like.
Yeah.
Because you were asked in that interview you would fight him again, and I think he's at a lower weight class now
he's
as well.
way lower than me. Like,
is he's a pro? I take it.
He's not
turned pro.
Nah, he's not. I don't even know if he's boxing anymore. But before COVID, I went down to the Scottish Championships. Literally the week COVID happened, it was like the Scottish Championships, and I just got straight into the quarterfinals, and I had him from a quarterfinal. So I've been the third time I boxed him, but then also I got called. So
I'd asked Smarty. I think his answer was York Hall. Is there anywhere that you'd like to say?
He picked York Hall.
Yeah, was it York Hall?
Watch the episode, man.
I'm sure it was York Hall. He says just like it's a great atmosphere in there when it can get like bouncing and things like that. Is there anywhere like kind of? I'm not obviously talking about the MGM because everyone would love to box there or Madison Square Garden, but is there anywhere like realistically the next couple of years you think
Butterbriggs. on the pitch.
That's amazing.
On the
Like,
pitch.
yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I've got that vision in my head. Borough Briggs on the pitch next summer for a youth world title is what I'd like. It's about like to see go. I think that would just be great for Elgin and Murray as a whole. Like that wouldn't be. I've watched boxing before. I've seen boxing before. Like I'm going to that as a first. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got like the Mac Murray Festival and stuff like that. I think that would just outshine it.
Oh, definitely.
100%.
We were just kind of discussing it's the biggest
sporting event I think this area's ever had. Obviously, aside from like Rangers coming to play Elgin or Celtic coming to play Elgin, something like that. But unlike for boxing, at least, it's the biggest.
Oh, 100%.
It could have been. So we're our hours basically up already. It flies by. But I just wanted to kind of ask about what you kind of predict how everything is going to go in 3 weeks. Obviously, like fight week's going to be, I would imagine, a lot easier for you because you don't have to travel as much. You get to wake up in your own bed before the fight day and everything like that. All the kind of luxuries that fighting so close to home does. But how do you think like the night's going to pan out? How does it pan out in an ideal world for you?
I'll win. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just a
is
win.
that a knockout or is that just a win?
Just a win.
Just a win.
Just a win. I'd like it for the recognition. I don't want it to go the distance because I don't want it to be like, oh, you just took him distance. You got the home decision, but a win. And that's what I'm coming away with. 100%.
Awesome, mate. Cheers for your time.
Thank you very much.